out at sea 250 years ago when Captain Cook was sailing the world's oceans. And all the gory details below decks, and maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. However, I do this kind of speaking engagement a few times a year on cruise ships. I've never done it in this part of the world. So this gives me a unique opportunity today to tell you a little bit about some maritime history that happened in the area we're sailing to today. Almost 222 years ago, there was a skirmish, a battle between the French and the English. Who else, right? The English were on their way back from China with a fleet of merchant ships, of about 30 ships, full of tea and all kinds of untold riches. They did not have a navy escort, it was just merchant ships, 16 ships of the British East India Company and a bunch of other ships. Just before they got to the Singapore Strait, Straits of Malacca, they were encountered by 5 men of war, French warships under Admiral Linois, who had been lying in wait for the British because they knew the British were coming with all their untold riches, and they engaged the British because they wanted to take their valuables. The British were smart. The 5 largest East India Company ships pretended to be Royal Navy vessels and scared off the French. And the French actually, ran and tried to get away as quickly as possible. 30 merchant ships scared away 5 French Navy vessels. And so Admiral Linois, when he got back to France, was demoted, unfortunately for him. So this happened in this part of the world. We are now currently in the Strait of Malacca. The skirmish that later became known as the Battle of Pulo Aura happened off the island of Pulo Aura, which is up there. And so, as I said, this is the first time I'm actually sailing in this part of the world, so I'm quite keen to tell you a little bit about that. Now, the fact that they managed to ward off the French was appreciated back in Britain. There was a coffee house called Lloyd's Coffee House, which was underwriting these voyages. Later it became the Lloyd's Insurance Company, of course, very massive maritime insurance company. And they were so pleased with the fact that the French had not taken their riches that they rewarded everyone on board very handsomely, including the regular sailors, different levels of course. The officers, the senior officers, got a sword, and I was so really happy about a year ago when I got my hands on one of these swords. This was at the State Library of New South Wales in Sydney, where I'm based. And yes, I did lift it, but I was not allowed to take a photo of me lifting it. And the staff member who was there with me said, "No swashbuckling." I did lift it. It was actually a bit unbalanced, I have to say. That was really cool. Now, at that time, what I'm showing you at the bottom, you don't have to read that. That is from the service record of a navigator from the turn of the 19th century who was on the first European circumnavigation of Australia. His name was Samuel Ward Flinders. The Aussies in the room have probably heard of Matthew Flinders, who was the captain of that first circumnavigation. Samuel was his youngest brother, and Samuel took a leading role in that skirmish with the French, and he was awarded what was called a piece of plate, which was silver in essence. Samuel contributed to the British saving £8 million in valuables. Today, that's more than £500 million. If that had been taken by the French, that would have ruined and bankrupted the city of London. So it was a big thing, and that happened in this part of the world. If you want to know more about that service record, by the way, today at 8:30 a.m. UK, I will publish a blog on this website where I'll talk a bit more about that service record. Anyway, I wanted to tell you a little bit, share a little bit with you what happened in this part of the world, and that's, to me, that's exciting.